and I are here today at the home of Ted Beauvais. Today is January 13th, the year 2001. Ted, you've lived in this house a long time, is that right?
Yes, I have.
And how long has it been?
Well, from 1929 to 1942. From 42 to 45, I was in the service. 45 through 47, I lived in Shrewsbury after marrying my wife Ellen, and then we bought the house for my folks in 1947. So we've been living here for 54 years.
Right. A lot of changes in this part of town in 54 years. Ted, do you remember when the store was next door? Was that?
Yeah, over on where the first house on School Street.
Yeah. Oh, there was one there, but there was also one next door.
Yes, there was, but that was before my time.
Before you moved in?
Because Ray Witchell lived next door with Don Brand.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. But there was a store down on School Street, right on the corner?
Yeah, right. Alice Roussel.
Yeah.
Buddy Roussel's sister.
Oh, okay.
Her married name was Trainer.
Oh.
And she had before that, there was another elderly man that ran it. I've forgotten his name.
Was it a grocery store type thing?
Just a kind of a sundries, general type of
general store, huh?
Yeah.
You know,
but they didn't have any meat or anything like that. They had staple goods. And
what did you do when you were growing up? What was your jobs over the years?
When I worked at my father had the store at Proudy's.
Oh, okay.
Up on Central Street.
Yeah. Which,
right across from the town hall.
Right.
And it's that little white house.
Yeah. After there was a store, they turned it sideways.
Yeah. Yes.
And made a little house out of it.
You know, a narrow entrance. Now they got the whole width of the.
Sure.
Yeah. And that was old Charlie Proudy had it. When we came to town, it was a community store.
What's that? What's the difference?
That was the chain.
Oh, okay.
The community was the name of it.
Yeah.
And there were a number of them throughout New England.
Oh, I didn't know it was a chain store. That's a little interesting.
Then, he gave it up, and Bob Proudy had it for a while.
Yeah.
And then my father took over.
Okay. Was that again just a little sundry store? You can buy almost any bread and milk.
We had everything.
But you had
meat and everything.
Yeah. So were you
vegetables and?
Yeah. Were you doing the butcher work, or were you?
No, I kind of was a general clerk, I guess.
Everything,
call it. Yeah.
Okay.
I did buy the candy. I had the candy concession because all the kids from Mary D. Stone.
I was one of them.
Used to come over there at recess at noon.
No, I used to go up there and get candy.
Yeah, for candy.
But the Proudy's were all relatives of mine too.
Yeah,
so,
right.
So that it was kind of very convenient to go in there and buy stores. How long did you run that? Do you know what I'm saying?
My father had it for 37 through about 42, because it was, I went in the service in 42, and he had given it up, I think, the beginning of the war, of World War II.
I guess Bob Proudy ran it for a while after that then?
Bob and his sister Alice Anderson.
Yeah.
Ran it,
yeah, because that's what I remember. I was born in 41, so I guess I don't remember you buying it, but I remember going over and buying candy there.
Yeah.
What service did you go in at then?
I was in the Air Force.
In the Air Force, yeah.
I was at Westover Field. I had my basic at Westover, and then I was shipped over to England, and I was associated with the 8th Air Force.
Oh, is that right? Did you fly, or were you?
No, I was ground personnel.
Ah.
But,
That the Army, was it the Air Force Center or was it the Army Air Corps?
Army Air Corps.
Before it officially changed to the Air Force.
Yeah, it was Army Air Corps.
Yeah. So you traveled around quite a lot?
I stayed in England for almost 3.5 years.
Did you?
Yeah, I was at what they call Horsham St. Faith, which is equal to the Randolph Field of Texas. It was comparable in design and it was quite a real nice base.
Now you have a twin brother?
I have a twin brother, Alden.
Okay. Yeah. Was he in the armed forces at all? Did he go in?
He was in the Signal Corps.
Oh, there.
He went in the service with Arthur Skeets, Arthur Lynn, and they were stationed at Fort Monmouth, which was the signal. They got their basic in Signal Corps at Fort Monmouth, and after he got out of basic, he went to Camp McCoy, Wisconsin, and then he was a cryptographer.
Did you have any other brothers or sisters?
No, just
the two of you?
Yeah.
Yeah. And you're both living in town, or have you both?
No, Ogden lived in Worcester.
Oh. Yeah. I remember you more than...
Yeah, Ogden married a gal from Worcester.
Were you born here?
No, we were born in Providence, Rhode Island. 1917.
After the service, did you come back to town, or...?
I came back here for a while, and then we got married. And then I had to go, was scheduled to be shipped over to the Pacific Theater. But they sent me to Sioux Falls, the 4th Air Force in Sioux Falls, South Dakota. And during the stay there, the armistice was signed in Japan, so we didn't have to go. Our records were all canceled.
So you were married when you were in the Air Force?
Yeah. Married in 45.
And then when you came back to Auburn, what was your duties? What did you do?
Well, prior to going in the service in 1940, Bill Boardman, who lived next door, was the freight agent for the Boston Albany Railroad in Worcester, and he got my brother and myself a job on the railroad.
Oh, is that right?
In the freight office. So I worked there until 42, and when I went into the service in May of 42, my seniority continued even when I was in the service.
Yeah,
so
is that
when
right?
I came back, I had
a good job.
About 5 years under my belt. So
how long did you stay there?
I stayed there until I retired in 1962. I mean 1977 rather.
Yeah.
I was 60 years old. They let us go at 60.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I worked 37 years for the railroad. And there were, from when I first worked there, was the Boston Albany, and then it became the New York Central took over, and then the Pennsylvania and the New York Central merged, and they called it the Penn Central. And in the last few years, it was Conrail. Conrail took it over.
Yeah, quite a lot of changes in the in the train business.
Right.
When you were growing up, were trains any important to you, or very important to you?
They were very important.
Yeah. Do you remember going down to the Auburn Depot?
My mother, when I was in the service, they had the gas shortage.
Yeah.
My mother used to go down on Auburn Street to the depot and take a train to Providence to see her her parents, my grandmother.
Yeah.
And even before, when I first moved here, a lot of the people that worked in Worcester would go to Stone's Crossing, down by near the Sportsman's Club, and they had a little station there, and they used to take a train, ride the train into Worcester.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah, because all we had a bus service.
Yeah.
In the wintertime, it was kind of
not very reliable.
Not reliable.
No.
But the train was.
Remember the trolleys going through here?
The tracks were here when we first came, because Central Street was nothing but a dirt road past your house.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah, when I first came here, South Street was the same.
Is that right?
And
the train station, Ted, what was in the train station here in Auburn? Do you recall?
There wasn't much. They called it Stone's Crossing, because Bob Stone's, I believe, his grandfather or great-grandfather, I've forgotten which, was a station master.
Okay.
And that's why it got the name of Stone's Crossing. And then there wasn't much in it, but a kind of a waiting room.
Ticket booth.
And a stove.
Yeah. They had a ticket booth there to get tickets. And
yeah, he sold the tickets. You could get tickets there.
Yeah.
Yeah. But a lot of them used to when they'd get into Worcester, would buy their tickets at the ticket office at the Union Station.
Oh, yeah. And this train went right down to Union Station?
Yes.
That was the getting off place?
Yeah.
Because I know there were several places they used to get off.
They used to get off also on Southbridge Street, right near the New Haven.
Right. Where that ended?
Freight office on Madison Street, and Connor Madison and Southbridge.
Right. Down, was that the same line still?
No, well, yes, it was. It was because this was operated by the New Haven Railroad.
Okay, I remember that ended right there, kind of.
Yeah.
It stopped right there, right in front of where
Coney Island
was.
Right across. Yeah. There was a kind of a barricade that they had and in later years they had that Bud train, the Bud car.
Yeah, right. There was only one car. It wasn't a train.
Used to come in. That used to go right through to New Haven.
Yeah. Was that gas or was that electric? Do you remember offhand? Or was it diesel? Or
no, that was diesel.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember seeing the car. I remember taking that once for some reason or other, and I think we were going to...
it was nothing but a glorified passenger passenger car.
Right, that's all it was with it.
They had a crew on it. They had a conductor and a brakeman and the engineer and the fireman.
Yeah.
And John Budrow used to ride and be on that too.
Oh, is that right? Was that his job? Yeah. I know he was on the railroad for years and years.
He and Ronnie McLean. Ronnie used to run that route too.
Oh, the Bud route? Is that
on the Bud car.
Yeah. That was...
See, they used to have some real good trains coming through here too. They had the East Wind that used to go from, well, I guess it originates, go from New York City through to New Haven and up into Maine.
Oh, is that right?
Go all the way to Maine and it'd switch over, and when it got into Worcester at the depot, it'd go on the B&M trackage up through to Maine.
I remember as a boy we used to go to Worcester and get the train and go to Key, New Hampshire.
Yeah.
Through Fitchburg, and then from Fitchburg to go to Key, New Hampshire to my relatives up there. So it was really exciting. And the steam trains were on here for years and years.
Steam was
the main power
was a big thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. That was they used to, I can remember a lot in the wintertime going up through Charlton, especially up. It was quite a steep drive all the way up.
Yeah.
And they used to have to put a pusher
Oh, is that right?
to help out because the wheels.
Was spin? Is that right?
And later they came out with somebody thought of an idea of putting containers of sand near the wheels.
Oh, yeah?
To give them traction.
Yeah.
And they used to go, go up.
Oh, that's real interesting.
Because they always had to get a push-up.
No kidding.
Because it was so steep.
I never heard that. I never heard they needed pushing in. And after that, when the big diesels came in, they probably didn't have any trouble then with those.
No.
Being able to.
No. But some of those steam engines were much more powerful than the diesels.
Yeah.
They had a lot of.
Back in the, I think it was about the 60s and maybe the late 70s, they brought some steam trains back for tours.
Yeah.
On that track.
Oh yeah.
Remember, were you part of it then, maybe, when they were thinking? I remember
one of the times that I was working I worked at Franklin Street, which was you could overlook the hill and see this Union Depot.
Yeah. And
down through into the yard.
Sure.
But they had not the Orient Express, but one of the fast trains from Scotland.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah, came over and they had it on display, and it came from all through Albany into Worcester and then on to Boston.
Wow.
And they...
you know what always amazed me is how the railroads would, connect all these lines together. They were more or less in competition with each other, but they were all connected one way or another, so that, you could get on a train in Worcester and go almost anywhere in the country that had a, major train. It might not be the most direct route, but you could get there.
Right.
So.
But it was I didn't lose a day of work due to strikes or anything, because in the later years the government took over, and if there was any inkling of a strike, they'd just squelch it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. When you were after you got married, did you have children?
We have a daughter that was born in 1947, and then we have a son that was born in 1950.
Okay, and they grew up pretty much in town. They went to Auburn schools.
Went to Auburn schools, and my daughter now lives up in Ocam, and my son lives in Springfield, Virginia, and he works in Washington, D.C.
Does he?
Yeah. He's in the Forest Service.
Oh.
My daughter is one of the staff of the Barry Gazette. She's on the staff. She writes.
She
has a
writes columns.
She has a bird column, and she also is the news person from the town of Ocam.
Oh, okay.
Which is
very good.
Next door to Barry.
Oh. You've seen a lot of changes in the town in the few years that you've been here.
Yeah.
Is there things that interest you that have happened in the last few years in the town, historic-wise? Things that
what I relish of the most, I think, were my growing up years and being in Scouts with L. Prouty and Bob Prouty.
Yeah, you were on the church committee for how many years?
I'm still on the troop committee.
Really? For 101 still?
I joined that in 1948 or thereabouts.
Yeah.
L got me back in when I came back from living in Shrewsbury.
Yeah. So you're still on the committee for Troop 101 still?
Still up here at the church,
Oh, that's real interesting.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Were you ever involved in the CVs that were in town?
At one time, Larry Hamilton was the skipper.
Oh, was he?
When there was quite a controversy at the time, because a lot of the Boy Scouts or not a lot, quite a few of the Boy Scouts quit the Boy Scouts and joined the Sea Scouts.
Oh, is that right?
And I remember Al Prouty was quite disappointed.
Yeah.
But
Is this the Sea Scouts that met over here?
Yeah.
yes,
Tuttle
but
building?
we used to meet up at the church.
Yeah.
So there was the Sea Scouts and the Mariners over here, is that
Yeah,
right?
yeah. But see, we were more or less affiliated with the troop.
With the Boy Scout troop.
Yes,
Yeah.
in one respect.
We mentioned that a little bit when we're restoring the old school over there. It's going to be
Yeah,
the
Howard Fisher was one of them, and
Mhm.
Steelman, is it?
Richard Still,
Lives
yeah.
on School Street.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Well, when they were taking the walls down, they found the old blackboard was still under there, and they had a list of some of the Sea Scouts that were that went over here. And
Yeah.
do you remember how many? Well, I can't call them troops. What were they called? Ships or
Ships.
Ships, yeah.
As far as I
You
remember.
remember how many ships there were?
It was, the main part was Webster,
Yeah.
because they had Webster Lake. In fact, we used to meet with the Webster group
Did you?
and use they had a lot of these big, well, they will look like lifeboats.
Yeah.
That
Yeah.
for, you know,
Yeah.
and so we used to kind of have joint
Yeah.
get-togethers with them.
All your years in Boy Scouts, you used to spend a lot of time out to Treasure Valley,
Yeah.
out to the Boy Scout camp. And
Yeah, when I joined in 1929, Bill Whitehead was the scoutmaster then.
how was he?
And prior to Bill Whitehead, the first scoutmaster was Arthur Dexter.
Uh-huh.
The Dexters lived on Central Street down near the pond.
Yeah.
That last house.
Is that Gertrude Dexter's husband?
Gertrude Dexter's father-in-law.
Father-in-law, okay.
He was
okay.
the...
We interviewed Gertrude Dexter. She taught over at the school here across the way.
Yeah, right.
And so, just to pin things together here a little.
Yeah, well, Ellie went here to school.
Ellie did?
She went here, well, with Steve. I think Steve went too,
Yeah.
if I'm not mistaken,
I'll check on that, yeah.
because he was in Ellie's class,
Uh-huh.
and the teacher then was Miss Frohock,
Yeah.
and I think that, if I'm not mistaken, it was Ellie's that class was the last one that she went here for a year.
Uh-huh.
Mm.
Convenient.
And they
huh?
only had the first grade, so she got her start.
Yeah.
here.
I spent a year over there with kind of an overflow thing from Mary D. Stone School.
Yeah,
had
they
more students,
did
so
that. Yeah.
I came down for a year, and I spent one of my first grades
Yeah.
was at the school over there.
But
The Boy Scouts have been important to you throughout all these years and
they sure have.
all the years of service.
What a great thing. Yeah, that's good.
Also, I know that you've been very active in the church at the top of the hill.
And Ellen and I joined that. I joined the church in 1948.
Mhm.
But when I was growing up, I used to go to Sunday school occasionally.
Yeah.
And but my mother belonged to the Christian Science Church in Worcester, so I used to go there to Sunday school. But a lot of times I used to go with our friends like Dick Newton
Yeah.
and Barbara Warren
Yeah.
and Bob Stone. Used to go with Ray Witcher.
Yeah. Quite a group of you
Yeah.
together. You taught Sunday school up there?
I taught Sunday school when I taught the 8th grade. I had Jackie Pelto, Bruce Anderson, that group.
Yeah. I think I was in one of your classes up there years and years ago.
El Prouty and Bob Hunter
Yep.
had
Yep.
the same age group.
Yep.
There were quite a few of them, the kids. So I taught for about 4 or 5 years.
Did you?
And then Ellen taught also. She taught.
Joe Valaka, didn't he teach up there for a short time too?
I think he did when he, right after he, you know, I'm almost certain. And he was, Joe was, had that. Joe took a class at Auburn High School in bird carving.
Really?
And
Well, is that how we got started with that?
yeah, he took it, and then he really got involved in it.
Yeah.
And he did beautiful work. So
Yeah, I know what
he started to teach. He conducted a class at the church for about, we went for about 4 or 5 years.
Yeah, I used to make birds for the church fair.
Yeah, and see, I got all these.
Oh, yeah.
But I did all of
You
those.
did those up on the top up there, yeah.
Looks so real, huh?
Yeah. Well, those are nice. And
I didn't
that's
do
all stuff
that one. I didn't do that
Yeah.
one, but Doc Wilson did that.
Outstanding. Look at
bird,
that.
yeah. Joe ran those classes for about 4 years.
Yeah.
We were talking a little
I
earlier.
played in the Auburn band
That's
for
right.
years. Ben Winchester used to live
Was
here.
that the fireman's band? They call it the
It
fireman's
later
band?
became the Firemen sponsored us.
Uh-huh.
But prior to it was when we first started, it was called the Auburn Cadet Band.
Oh, is that right?
And Ben Winchester, my father, started it or organized it.
Oh, okay.
And we used to have our rehearsals in the fire station.
Oh, is that right? What did you play?
I played tenor sax.
Yeah?
And there was Floyd Holston was one of the instigators of it too.
Yeah,
He played drums.
Yeah, I thought he was a drummer.
And Bob Giddings Sr.
Yeah.
They lived up on Burnmore Avenue. He was a music teacher, and he directed us for a number of years.
Skip Hagberg was
Skip Hagberg played trombone in it.
Yeah.
Young Bob Giddings played clarinet. Bob Vixton played clarinet.
I remember it really wasn't Memorial Day unless we saw you guys.
We used to play Memorial Day. We'd play in town in the morning, and in the afternoon we'd play up in Boylston.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then we used to give concerts in Barry, and the band stand in the center of Barry.
Oh, right.
And we used to also give concerts in Ware at Greenville Park.
Yeah. Were you ever a member of the fire department or just a band?
No, it was just an affiliation.
With it,
that's all. Yeah, we had their name, and they gave us hats, and we bought pants.
All right, yeah.
So and white shirts, so we looked like
kind of a uniform.
Red jackets.
Yeah, remember those?
Looked like.
Looked very nice.
Yeah.
Very nice. It was
So
nice.
we played in. I played in that from when it first started, 1937, 36, 37.
Is that right?
Right through to. The latter part of the 1970s, I think we
Is that right?
more or less disbanded.
Ended that, yeah.
Because you couldn't get anybody to go to rehearsal.
Yeah.
Ted, years ago there was a company, and it was called the Stone Crusher. This operation would crush stones, and they would be used in building the railroad. Do you recall that at all? Where it was located and.
They used to have trap. There was one in Grafton. They used to have trap rock, and they used to fill in between the ties, and for ballast more than anything.
Do you recall the operation in Auburn?
I don't. No, I don't.
Mm-hmm.
No.
Mm-hmm. From what I understand, it was they would drop the big boulders, and they would crush them, and with these small stones, they would put them down and then lay the railroad track.
Yeah.
We're trying to get some information on the stone crusher. And,
No, I don't recall that.
Other parts of town have changed a lot too, but up in the center of town, since I was living here, live in the center of town. I lived on the other side of Central Street when we lived here. When Mr. Place owned the store,
Yeah.
up there, did you ever work at the store, Ed?
I didn't work at that store.
Not that store?
No. But prior to when we first came to town, a guy by the name of George Rawson
Yeah.
ran that store.
Oh, okay.
And at that time, Charlie Prouty, Grandpa Prouty, was running the community store.
Okay.
So
And
those
the
were
other-
the two stores.
The other stores around here, there was one right next door. That
Yeah,
was before your
that
time.
was before.
But that, do you know who owned that? Who ran that?
I don't know.
Yeah.
No.
Because Don Brand owned the houses right in front of
Yeah,
us for years
right,
and years.
right.
So, we were trying, at one time, we were trying to figure out how many of these little stores there were. There was a lot of them around.
Yeah,
Do you remember any more that were?
Then there was that one on Auburn Street. It was a community store.
Oh, Champagne?
There was a, no, it wasn't Champagne's,
Okay.
but he came later. But this was right on the corner of Rockland Road and Auburn Street, where that there's
Oh,
a beauty
the
parlor.
beauty shop, yeah.
That was a community store, and I can't, for the sake of me, think of the guy
Yeah.
that ran it for years.
There was so many of these little stores that were tucked away in people's
Yeah.
houses. We talked with Emma Whitney, and she talked about there was one down on her house down on Southbridge Street. There was a little store down there.
Yeah, yeah.
And it seemed quite a lot of, there was no supermarkets obviously,
No,
but there was
no,
always places
no.
to, and about the same time they had all these stores, there was a lot of people used to come house to house with things.
Yeah, Cushman Bakery used to come.
Yeah.
And then Jim Batty had the meat business. He used to come
Door to door.
door to door.
Yeah.
And he lived right down below you.
Yep. And then there was a fish man, remember the fish man that came around?
Yeah.
He had fish on the back of the truck and the scales.
And then the ice
The ice
guy,
would come
Thomas's.
over. Yeah, Thomas's. Yeah, Thomas's was probably one of the last ice people in town.
Yeah.
There was a lot of those in town too from time
Yeah, I
to
can
time.
remember the old ice house on Palmville Pond.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
That
We
was
used to-
Thomas's too, wasn't it?
Yes.
Yeah.
In fact, we used to go swimming. We'd swim from the riverside,
Yeah.
drive side of the
Yeah.
pond over to the ice house on the other side.
Is that right?
Yeah.
But, was Route 20 there when you?
Oh no.
Yeah,
no,
that was long before Route
We used
20.
to cut through Fisher's Nursery and go down that way to Palmville.
Is that right?
To the
I never knew
pond.
anybody swam at Farmville.
Yeah. Huh?
I never knew anybody swam
Oh,
at
it
Farmville.
was, way back it was clean.
Was it? Yeah.
Yeah, well, and there was no
None of the green stuff we
pollution
see
or
now.
algae or anything like
That right.
that. Yeah.
How about all the swimming areas in town? Do you remember all the places you went swimming?
Well, we used to swim up here at the American Steel and Wire
Yeah, Camp
dam
Gleason.
right up where Camp Gleason is.
Camp Gleason is now. Yeah, that was kind of a private thing for a while, wasn't it?
Yeah,
Only
well,
only steel employees were supposed to go there, but near the end, by a
they
lot of
used to
town
have
employees.
it chained off so
Yeah.
you couldn't go, but we used to go.
Yeah, we were there as kids too.
Yeah.
And then over to Rotary Beach, there was a beach over there.
Yeah,
for
that
years.
was pretty good.
Yeah. Remember any other places they swam in town? Or recreational areas. People went to do
No,
things.
those are about the only two.
Yeah,
that
it's the only one I was thinking
And then
of.
we used to occasionally, when we were kids, we used to hike over to Ramson,
Yeah,
over in West Millbury.
yeah,
We'd go up Grassy Hill,
yeah.
up and through to West Millbury, and then
Dive off the
Right
dam.
at the,
right at the dam.
Causeway.
Yeah, yeah. We swam over there too.
Yeah,
for
and
years.
that was good water.
Yeah,
but
it was
then
always
they-
nice and clean.
People abused it. They dumped their crap around and
Yeah,
rubbish and stuff. And,
it seems to happen with the bottom.
yeah, and then it squelched it for everybody.
That's too bad.
For everybody, for sure.
But we used to go up to Paul Stone's or Ralph Stone, who lived right up on South Street, where You remember where Bill Whitehead and Beulah Whitehead lived? Right across from that red barn and the little white house.
Yeah.
That was owned by the Stones,
Oh, okay.
Ralph Stone.
Uh-huh.
And his wife later married George Keep.
Okay.
After Ralph died,
Yeah.
and after
Oh, I didn't know that.
George's
Yeah.
wife died.
Yeah.
And Ralph had 2 sons and a daughter. He had Paul and Loring, and then Janice Stone. But we used to go through that property over to Eddie Pond and go fishing.
Oh, yeah.
And Paul had the oldest son had a boat. He used to let us, Buddy Russell, Rocky Evans, and Alden and I used to let us take the boat.
Oh, great.
Yeah, and then they had a log cabin that the Scouts used to use for like
overnight
overnighters.
Yeah.
Yeah, we used to go there in the wintertime, and it was cozy.
Got a little fire.
They had a big fireplace.
Did it?
And during the war, I think that burned.
Yeah.
I think it was set or something.
Oh, that's too bad.
But it was a beautiful building.
Do a lot of fishing when you were growing up, Ted?
Oh, yeah.
There were some pretty good fish places.
I used to fish, Dark Brook.
Yeah.
Down by on Central Street. Start from the base of the dam.
Yeah.
Where it came out, fish it all the way down through to
there was some nice brook trout in there,
to church, to Leicester Street then.
Yeah.
And there were some nice brookies.
Yeah.
I used to fish that with Frankie Allen.
Yeah.
And see, Alden and I used to, when we were in high school, we used to work for Frankie. Frankie had a garage.
Oh, that
down at the foot on Central Street.
Yeah, down near the ice house?
No, right, but just beyond or below his parents' house, which was up on the hill where St. Edmunds is now.
Yeah, almost
and they had a garage down on more closer to Central Street.
Right.
So Frankie, when he got out of trade school, he had did auto repairs there, and Alden and I used to work for him, like polishing cars. He used to get his jobs.
Now that's where he started his business, because he ended up with a gas station on the corner
ended up at that
South
city
Street.
Service station that was up here on
Kentucky Fried Chicken now.
Yeah, and Bud Stone took over after Frankie gave
did
up.
he? Yeah.
Bud Stone had it for a long time.
Oh, I didn't know he ran that for a while.
Yeah, it was a city service.
Yeah. Yeah, I know John Allen, he was quite a mechanic. He did quite a lot of repairs and stuff.
Yeah. But Frank was a real good guy.
Yeah.
But when we had the scout troop, Frank was one of the patrol leaders, and he used to take his father's, had an old plug and a wagon, and we used to go around town collecting papers, newspapers, and we used to store them in the old horse shed.
Oh,
it was near the church.
Sure, yeah.
And we kept, when the market was good, we got a good price, we'd have some of the boys
paper drives and bring them up there to the old horse shed for
and they'd come out and collect them.
There was always ways of making a buck for groups and stuff like that. The Boy Scouts always had something.
They always, I can remember the suppers that they used to have up there at the vestry.
Yeah.
They were great.
Did you know Abby Wiley?
Very much, yeah.
Quite a woman, huh?
She sure was.
What made her so outstanding, Ted?
She was a very giving woman, I thought. She was involved in, almost everything.
The Girl Scouts. She was
Campfire Girls, 4-H.
4-H.
Her parents' name was Frank.
Yeah.
And they lived up on Grassy Hill.
Right.
Up right next to where Henry Sundin lives.
Yeah.
And
Abby Wiley and Ray Turowski and I, years and years ago, was thinking about the possibility of a historical society in town. And she was the one that really got it going, and her and Ray, I happened to go into the service about the time they got it going, but she was the one who really started thinking that the town needed a historical society. And we started collecting newspapers and articles and putting things in the book. And at the same time she was doing it for the church. She was a church historian, so she was very, very, very interested in the history of town. And unfortunately, because of, things have been the way they are, we've lost a lot of history in town. People like her that had more history in her.
She had a knowledge of...
She worked at the town hall for years and years. She knew just about everybody's name and address and telephone number. And, but she had a wealth of information, and it's really a shame that we lost.
Another one that had a lot of information too was B. Goodnow.
Absolutely, yes.
She kept a record of the kids that graduated, when they got married, when they had children, when they passed away. She had all that.
All the information, And this is the type of information, unfortunately, a lot of people don't realize the importance of it. When we talked to you, you brought up some names that I haven't heard in a while, friends of yours and people that your acquaintances you've had dealings with. And,
see, when I first came to town, Reverend Wheelock was a minister.
Oh, is that right?
And he, I don't know whether you knew Glenn perhaps would know, whether you knew the Maxwells that lived down Winter Street.
I don't think
that yellow house, as you go up Knoll Street and turn on Winter Street, it's the first house. Well, they lived there. And Mrs. Maxwell was Reverend Wheelock's daughter.
Oh.
And she had 2 boys and a girl. She had Betty, who was a girl, and then Paul and Robert were the boys. And but Reverend Wheelock was the minister. And another person that was similar to Abby Wiley was Arabella Tucker.
Oh, there,
And she lived right on the corner of Garden Street and Central Street, in that little, little house. The Watsons used to live there. And see, right across from them was where Mannings lived. And then next, going towards the church, was where the Newtons lived. Dick Newton.
Right.
And
all very important people in town from one way or another. I know I grew up with Mannings and Newtons and
the Stones lived on.
And all those people.
See, in the house up at the corner was the inn.
And
that was, when I came here, old Peapon, old Oscar Peapon lived there. And that was Mrs. Warren's father.
Oh, is that right?
And she was a pawn. And anyway, he had a farm on where South Terrace is now. They took all those houses where McPhee lives and on the right-hand side of South Terrace. And we used to, at night, we used to go up and get milk from them. And I used to go with Barbara Warren, and I can remember Oscar P. was a kind of a skinflint. He used to even make his own daughter pay for milk.
Well, there was a lot of those in town too, wasn't there?
And then where Susie lives now, you know, that big house right up there. That's where Ike Dickerson used to live. And then right after, he built this house right opposite right across from where Hamiltons live.
Yep.
That cottage type. Anyway, Dr. Manfred Spaulding had an office in where Susie's was. Yeah.
You don't remember Dr. Green in town, do you?
No, I don't. I knew Dr. Manfred Spaulding because he had a big garden and he used to alternate in the summertime. Bud Knowlton, a couple others used to. Ray Butcher at times used to work for him and weed.
Is that right? Yeah.
Yeah. And he used to be up in the loft of his barn that was connected with a pair of field glasses and watches to make sure that we
did it
were
right.
working.
Yeah.
So you were close to everything here, Ted.
Yeah.
You had the church right up the street.
Yeah.
Dr. Spaulding was even closer.
Yeah.
And you had the store just a little further down Central Street.
Yeah.
You were close to everything living right here.
Yeah.
Remember the other doctors in town? There was Dr. Pond.
And then Dr. Spungen.
Dr. Spungen.
That's the only one.
They were the only ones who ran this town for years and years and years, weren't they?
Yeah. And they used to come.
Yeah, they'd come right to your house.
Dr. Milne used to come right
to your house.
I remember when my parents were sick, he'd come.
Yeah.
Didn't make any difference.
I have to find people come to your house for any reason now, isn't it? Don't mind it.
And then speaking of Dr. Manfred Spaulding, he was instrumental in getting or helping Don Brand more than anybody.
Is that right?
He bought him a bicycle because Donald used to walk by the house when he went to South High School.
Yeah.
That was before Auburn.
Sure.
And in the wintertime, I used to see him. We were on our way to grammar school, but we used to watch, and he'd fall down a number of times.
Oh, yes. What ailment did
he had? Huh?
Muscular dystrophy? Or
he had, no, it was like polio, but they call it rickets.
Rickets?
Then.
Okay, because I know he walked.
Yeah, and he slurred his speech.
Yeah, he had quite a trouble speaking.
And
he was a good engineer, I guess. He worked for WTAG for years and years up at the tower.
On the Packagug.
And he ran the
WORC.
Yeah, and he ran the power for all the radio station up there for years and years.
He was a ham radio.
Yeah.
He had a ham station.
Yeah, it was funny. It was somebody that had a speech impediment.
Yeah,
like that. He could do a little bit on that.
He knew radio from inside out. But Dr. Spaulding bought him a bicycle, and I can remember he taught himself.
Is that right?
And that was his main part of transportation after he got to do it. And even when he first started working up on Packagug, he used to take his bike. And,
did he really?
Yeah.
From here? From next door here? Wow, that's quite a haul for, especially if somebody had problems. I would imagine it'd be kind of hard pedaling up like Packagug Street to get up there.
Yeah, but he was a real good friend. Boy.
Yeah. No, I knew.
He was scout.
I was going to say he was involved in scouts.
He was scoutmaster during the war years.
Yeah.
Yeah. He took over after, I don't know whether Bob Prouty or Al Prouty, I forgot. Anyway, he took over. He was during the war years.
Yeah. I think he was scoutmaster when I just started Cub Scouts.
And then Stub Knowlton took over.
Yep.
And then after that, they had a number of them. They had Arthur Lynn. They had Bob Mills. They had Ted Steinhilber. Berthium that lives up on Leicester Street. You know, the CPA or whatever.
Yep. Henry Sundin eventually was.
Yeah. Henry had it, I think, about one of the longest
period of time. Yeah, he was Boy Scout for
Now Arthur, George Fournier has it now.
Oh, is that right?
And he is good.
Yeah.
He lives up on Prospect Street. No, Appleton Road.
Yeah.
What's the first one where the lights are? Well, they both have lights.
Yeah.
But it's the furthest one down 20.
Okay.
That's what Appleton, I think.
Yeah, that's up. Yeah. There was a lot of different things that went on at the church up there that were really nice in town. Where they had people who would come around and visit like that.
Yeah.
They had a lot of youth groups did a lot of good in town. Different things that they had.
Yeah.
So, when we first came in here, we were talking about Robin High School, and you had a cauldron.
Yeah.
From the second graduation year. It was kind of interesting to see some of the people that graduated, the second year that the school was. You graduated the first year?
I graduated in 1936. I don't know why they keep doing it, but the different principals or the school committee have always said that the first class was 1935. It was not. It was finished in December of 1935.
Yeah.
And then after Christmas vacation, it opened up for students.
Yeah.
And you could either you opted to stay in Worcester. And the town would, reimburse the...
Did most people come to town?
But the only ones that stayed in Worcester at the time, which was North High School, were the ones that were taking the agricultural course with Pop Griffith.
Right. That was a big Aggie school at the time.
Yeah, and they stayed and finished up.
Is that right?
But most all of us, there were 43 of us that in the first class that graduated, and that was June of 1936.
It would have to be, because if you got in December, next month would be 36.
So the first year, freshman year, we went to Packagug.
Yeah.
We shared with the elementary school. We went in the morning and they went in the afternoon.
Oh, you had dual sessions, huh?
Yeah.
Huh.
And
oh wow, that's interesting.
And then after that, after we finished our freshman year, we had a graduation up at the town hall.
Is that right? You didn't stay in high school, have your graduation?
No, no. I mean for the freshman year.
Oh, okay. I hear you. Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
So, and from the 8th grade, we had a graduation. Phil Roach was a principal then, and he was the 8th grade teacher.
Oh, right. Is that right?
Yeah.
He was. And he was principal of Mary D. for quite a few years.
Yeah, and when we split up, a lot of us went to, South Commerce, Classical, or North.
Yeah.
And I went to Alden, I went to Commerce. And
how was the transportation there?
The town paid our transportation.
Was it a
gave
train
us tickets.
A train or bus?
Bus. Yeah. We used to have to get it up at the center.
Is that right?
Yeah.
And everybody got at the center, or did they pick up other people
They
along the way?
picked other people, like from Stoneville section. They had a bus going that way.
Yeah.
But they gave us tickets.
Oh, is that right? That's interesting.
Yeah.
Well, all right. We've got a few more minutes left before we have to close for today. Is there anything else that is on your mind, Ted?
I know it's been, wonderful being in this town. It's been good years.
Mm-hmm. It is.
Robin's been good to a lot of people, hasn't it?
Right. But I met a lot of friends.
Did you Did you remember my father and his twin brother?
Oh, absolutely. We used to go up to your cousins up in Brattleboro, Vermont.
Yeah.
And with El Prouty every year. Well, we'd climb Mount Stratton.
Yeah.
But we'd stop off at in Brattleboro, and I think one of the relatives was an undertaker or something.
Yeah, that was my Uncle Cal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, we'd stop there and,
Yeah.
and
Was there other
chat
twins in
with
town?
them.
Do you remember any other twins your age and you growing
The
up?
Prados twins were right after Olga and I graduated.
Is that right?
Yeah. And then in later years, of course, the Holstrom,
Yeah, Holstrom. Yeah.
Chet, Kenny and Gordon.
Yeah. Okay, well, thank you very much.